Henry, a millionaire, meets an orphan girl named Sophie holding his picture at an orphanage. He is shocked to see that Sophie has a scar on her arm, just like him. Deciding to adopt her, he raises her as his daughter. As Sophie grows up, she becomes a kind and compassionate person, following her mother's footsteps to become a social worker. She establishes a foundation to help orphans and poor children. One day, Sophie receives a scholarship from a group of businessmen inspired by her mother's work. Honored to be the first recipient, she promises to use it to help more children. The story ends with Henry looking out the window at the starry night sky, reflecting on all the lives they have touched and the bright future that awaits them. The morning sun spilled golden light through the tall windows of the old orphanage, casting soft shadows on the worn wooden floors. The sound of children's laughter echoed through the hallways, a melody of innocence that filled the air with warmth. It was a place filled with hope and dreams, yet it bore the scars of neglect and abandonment. Among the children, a small girl with bright eyes and a tangled mess of brown hair sat on the edge of a playground swing, clutching a faded photograph. Henry had always avoided places like this, where memories of his own troubled childhood lingered like ghosts. Yet, that day was different. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, he found himself standing before the weathered building, his heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and curiosity. He had seen the orphanage's name in the newspaper after a devastating fire that had left many children homeless. With a charitable spirit kindled by guilt and longing, he decided to pay a visit. As he entered the orphanage, a sense of nostalgia washed over him. The scent of old books and the faint aroma of paint from a recent mural project filled the air. The children, with their playful banter and infectious energy, were a stark contrast to his somber demeanor. He forced a smile as one little boy waved enthusiastically, and he waved back, though his mind was elsewhere. His eyes wandered until they landed on the girl on the swing. Sophie. She was gazing at the photograph in her hands, her expression a mix of longing and wonder. Intrigued, Henry approached her, curiosity piqued by her unusual stillness amidst the chaos of the playground. "What do you have there?" he asked gently, kneeling beside her. Sophie looked up, her big brown eyes widening with surprise. "It's a picture of my mommy," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Henry's heart clenched at her words. He glanced at the photograph, a faded image of a woman with a warm smile and gentle eyes. For a brief moment, it felt as if time had frozen. "She's beautiful," he replied softly, sensing the weight of loss in her voice. Sophie nodded, a small tear escaping her eye. "She had a scar just like mine," she said, lifting her arm to reveal a thin white mark running down her forearm. It was a scar Henry had worn for years, a reminder of a childhood accident that had left him with more than just a physical mark. Henry's breath caught in his throat. The coincidence was staggering, a connection he couldn't ignore. "I have a scar too," he said, rolling up his sleeve to show her. "It means we're both brave, right?" Sophie wiped her tears and smiled, her spirits lifting. "Yeah, brave," she echoed, a hint of admiration shining in her eyes. In that moment, Henry felt an inexplicable bond form between them, a bond that went beyond the scars they shared. It was a connection born from their shared experiences of loss and resilience. Henry found himself captivated by her spirit, her strength shining through even the darkest moments of her young life. "What's your name?" Sophie asked, her curiosity brightening her features. "I'm Henry," he replied, unable to suppress the warmth spreading in his chest. "I came here to see if I could help." "Help?" she repeated, tilting her head in confusion. "How?" "I want to help children like you," he explained. "Maybe even adopt someone someday." Sophie's eyes sparkled with a glimmer of hope. "Adopt?" she echoed, testing the word on her tongue. "Like having a real family?" "Exactly," Henry said, his heart racing at the thought. "Would you like that?" "Yes," Sophie exclaimed, her face lighting up with excitement. The innocence of her joy melted the layers of ice around his heart. As they talked, a warmth enveloped them both, a silent understanding that transcended words. Henry felt a spark of purpose ignite within him, a sense that perhaps he was meant to be here, at this very moment. Sophie stood up from the swing, her laughter ringing like music in the air. "Come on, let's go play," she exclaimed, taking his hand and pulling him toward the other children. For the first time in years, Henry felt alive. He ran alongside her, laughing as they joined the games and frolics of the other children. He felt his heart soften, allowing the walls he had built around himself to crumble, if only for a little while. That day marked the beginning of a remarkable journey, one that would intertwine their fates and change their lives forever. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the orphanage, Henry knew he had found something special in Sophie. He promised himself that he would do everything in his power to ensure that she would never feel alone again. Days turned into weeks as Henry continued to visit the orphanage, and each time he found himself more enchanted by Sophie. The bond they formed was undeniable. It was as if they had known each other in another life. The laughter they shared echoed through the hallways, bringing life to a place often overshadowed by sadness. One sunny afternoon, Henry arrived with a surprise. Clutching a large box, he made his way through the familiar front door. The children greeted him with shouts of excitement, but his eyes were only for Sophie, who rushed toward him with open arms. "Henry!" she exclaimed, her hair bouncing with every step. "What did you bring?" He knelt down, placing the box on the ground. "Open it and see," he said, a smile spreading across his face. Sophie's eyes sparkled with anticipation as she eagerly tore open the box. Inside, she found an array of colorful art supplies: paints, brushes, canvases, and glitter. "Wow, this is amazing!" she gasped, her voice filled with wonder. "We can make art for the walls!" Henry chuckled at her enthusiasm. "Exactly. I thought you and your friends could decorate the orphanage and make it feel more like home." Sophie's face lit up with joy as she hugged the box tightly. "Thank you, Henry. You're the best." As they began to organize the supplies, Sophie rallied the other children to join in the fun. Laughter and chatter filled the room as they painted and created vibrant art to hang on the walls. Henry watched from a distance, his heart swelling with pride and affection. He was beginning to understand the importance of community and love, and how these simple moments could change lives. Over the following months, Henry made it a routine to visit Sophie after work. He shared stories of his own childhood, his struggles, and his dreams, while Sophie listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. She often shared her own dreams of becoming an artist, a social worker, and one day, a mother. Her ambitions were lofty, yet Henry admired her unwavering determination. One day, as they painted a mural together, Sophie looked up at him, her brow furrowed in thought. "Henry, do you think I can really help other kids like me?" He paused, looking into her earnest eyes. "Of course you can, Sophie. You have such a kind heart. You've already helped me feel more alive than I've felt in years." "But what if I fail?" she asked, a shadow of doubt crossing her face. Henry knelt beside her, gently placing his hand on her shoulder. "Everyone has fears, but it's what we do with those fears that defines us. You've already shown courage by dreaming big. Never let fear stop you from trying." Sophie nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "I'll remember that," she promised, a determined glimmer in her eyes. As the seasons changed, so did their relationship. Henry began to consider adopting Sophie as his daughter, feeling an overwhelming sense of responsibility and affection for her. Yet he hesitated. The thought of becoming a parent stirred a whirlwind of emotions. Could he be a good father? Would he be able to give her everything she deserved? One chilly evening, after finishing dinner, he sat with Sophie on the couch, flipping through the pages of an old family photo album he had brought from home. Each picture told a story: happy moments, struggles, and the memories of his late parents. Sophie leaned in closer, her fingers tracing the edges of the photos. "Who are they?" she asked, her eyes curious. Henry smiled sadly. "These are my parents. They passed away a long time ago. They would have loved you." Sophie looked up at him, her expression softening. "I wish I could have met them," she said quietly. "They would have been so proud of you," he replied, his heart aching with nostalgia. "You remind me so much of them." Sophie's eyes brightened with hope. "Maybe we can make our own family. I can be your daughter, and you can be my dad." The words hung in the air like a melody, resonating deep within Henry's soul. He looked into Sophie's eyes, filled with dreams and innocence. He could see the little girl she was and the incredible woman she would become. It was in that moment that he realized how much he loved her. "Would you really want that?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. "Yes, more than anything," Sophie exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. As Henry hugged her tightly, a wave of warmth enveloped him. He felt a profound sense of belonging, something he had longed for since his own childhood. He pulled back and wiped a tear from his eye, smiling down at her. "Then let's make it official," he declared. "I want to adopt you, Sophie. I want you to be my daughter." Sophie's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really? You mean it?" "Absolutely. We'll be a family," he assured her, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. The joy that spread across Sophie's face was like the first rays of dawn breaking through the night. "This is the best day ever!" she squealed, jumping up and down with excitement. Henry couldn't help but laugh as he joined in her celebration. In that moment, everything felt right. The struggles of the past faded away, replaced by a new chapter filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. With the decision made, Henry and Sophie embarked on the exciting yet daunting journey of building their new life together. The paperwork for adoption was a maze of forms, meetings, and interviews, but they faced it with the same enthusiasm they brought to their art projects. Each day brought them closer to becoming a family, and they reveled in the anticipation of their future. Sophie took to calling Henry Dad, a title that felt both strange and beautiful to Henry. Hearing it sent ripples of joy through him, yet it also made him acutely aware of the responsibilities that came with it. He wanted to be the father Sophie deserved, one who would guide her through life's challenges and celebrate her victories. As they waited for the adoption process to finalize, Henry wanted to make their home a sanctuary. He spent weekends painting walls, decorating Sophie's room, and filling the house with laughter and love. They transformed the spare room into a cozy space adorned with bright colors and art supplies, creating a little studio where Sophie could express her creativity. One Saturday morning, as the sun streamed through the kitchen window, Henry and Sophie prepared breakfast together. Sophie was perched on a stool, carefully cracking eggs into a bowl while Henry whisked them into a fluffy yellow mixture. Flour dusted the countertops, and the air filled with the sweet aroma of pancakes. "Can I add chocolate chips?" Sophie asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Of course, the more the merrier," Henry replied, laughing as she poured a generous handful into the batter. Their mornings became a cherished routine, filled with laughter and conversation. As they cooked, they talked about their dreams, their fears, and what it meant to be a family. Sophie often spoke about her desire to help others, and Henry encouraged her ambitions, promising to support her every step of the way. One day, while flipping pancakes, Sophie suddenly turned serious. "Dad, do you think I can really help all those kids? What if they don't want my help?" Henry paused, sensing the weight of her concern. "You have a kind heart, Sophie. Helping others starts with just showing you care. Remember, everyone needs love and support. You can make a difference, no matter how small." She nodded, deep in thought, but the worry in her eyes lingered. Henry reached over, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're brave, and I believe in you. We'll figure it out together." As the weeks passed, their bond grew stronger. They shared everything: the joy of making pancakes, the excitement of decorating the house, and even the nervousness that came with waiting for the adoption approval. They attended family counseling sessions at the orphanage, where they learned about each other's backgrounds and how to navigate their new relationship. On the day of their final meeting with the social worker, Henry felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. They entered the office, where a cheerful woman named Miss Carter greeted them. Her warm smile put Sophie at ease, but Henry felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He wanted to make a good impression, not just for himself, but for Sophie. "Good morning, Henry." "Good morning, Sophie. Are you ready for our last session?" Miss Carter asked, her eyes twinkling with enthusiasm. "Yes," Sophie replied, her voice full of energy. "I can't wait to be adopted. Wonderful. Let's sit down and go through the final details," Miss Carter said, gesturing for them to take a seat. As they settled into their chairs, Miss Carter reviewed the adoption papers and asked a few questions about their relationship, their plans for the future, and how they would handle challenges together. Henry found himself speaking passionately about his commitment to Sophie, sharing his hopes and dreams for their life as a family. After what felt like hours of discussion, Miss Carter smiled brightly. "I'm pleased to inform you that everything looks great. You're officially a family, and I'll submit the paperwork for the adoption decree today. Sophie squealed in delight, jumping up and hugging Henry tightly. "We did it, Dad! We're really a family now." Henry laughed, feeling a surge of joy wash over him. "Yes, we did. I'm so proud of you, Sophie." As they left the office hand in hand, the world felt different. Colors seemed brighter, and the air carried a fresh scent of possibility. They had a family to call their own and a future to build together. That evening, to celebrate their newfound status as a family, Henry planned a small gathering with the other children from the orphanage. He invited them over for pizza, games, and a movie. The excitement in Sophie's eyes made every ounce of effort worth it. When the children arrived, the house filled with laughter and energy. They played games in the living room while the aroma of freshly baked pizza wafted through the air. Sophie beamed with happiness, proudly introducing her friends to Henry as "my dad." As the night wore on, they gathered in the living room, sprawled across the floor with pizza slices in hand, watching a family movie that brought forth peals of laughter and moments of heartfelt connection. Henry watched as Sophie laughed with her friends, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known. Later, as the children began to settle down, Sophie turned to Henry with a serious expression. "Dad, can we help those kids who don't have families like me? I want to do something special for them." Henry's heart swelled at her selflessness. "Absolutely, Sophie. We can start a foundation to help orphans and underprivileged children. It will take time and effort, but we'll do it together." Sophie clapped her hands in delight. "Really? That would be amazing." "Yes, and it will give us a chance to honor your mother's legacy," Henry added, his voice softening at the mention of Sophie's late mother. Sophie's eyes sparkled with excitement, her mind racing with ideas. "We can have art programs and help them go to school. They can be anything they want to be." Henry nodded, amazed at her enthusiasm and determination. "And we can organize community events to raise awareness and funds. I'll help you every step of the way." As the stars twinkled outside, Henry couldn't help but feel grateful. He had found a purpose beyond himself, a chance to make a difference in the lives of children like Sophie. Together, they would embark on a journey to create a brighter future for those in need. The weeks that followed the adoption were a whirlwind of activity as Henry and Sophie prepared to launch their foundation. They decided to name it the Bright Futures Foundation, symbolizing hope and opportunity for children in need. Their vision was clear: to provide education, art programs, and emotional support for orphans and underprivileged kids, helping them to realize their dreams. Sophie took charge of the creative aspects, excitedly brainstorming ideas for events, while Henry focused on the logistics and fundraising efforts. They spent evenings together, mapping out their plans on large sheets of paper spread across the dining room table, their enthusiasm infectious. One evening, as they finalized the design for their foundation's logo, Sophie looked up at Henry with serious eyes. "Dad, what if people don't want to help? What if we can't raise enough money?" Henry paused, recognizing the concern etched on her face. "Sophie, not everyone will understand our mission right away, but we can't let that discourage us. We have to believe in what we're doing. There are many people out there who care and want to help." Sophie nodded slowly, though doubt lingered in her expression. Henry gently squeezed her hand, encouraging her. "You have a gift for connecting with people. Your passion will inspire them. We'll find the right supporters who share our vision." With renewed determination, they set out to organize their first fundraising event, a community fair. They planned to include games, art displays, and a silent auction featuring local artists. Henry reached out to businesses for sponsorships, while Sophie spread the word among her friends at the orphanage and the local community. As the fair approached, excitement bubbled within Sophie. She envisioned the joy it would bring, not just to their foundation, but to the children who would benefit from their efforts. She wanted to make a difference, and this was her chance to do so. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the park where the fair was held. Colorful banners flapped in the breeze, and laughter filled the air as families gathered to enjoy the festivities. Sophie wore a bright yellow dress adorned with flowers, embodying the joy and energy she felt inside. Henry arrived early to help set up the booths, his heart swelling with pride as he watched Sophie enthusiastically greet the volunteers and guests. "Look at all the people, Dad. They came to support us, she exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. As the fair officially kicked off, Sophie took the stage with a microphone, her voice trembling slightly but filled with passion. Thank you all for coming. My name is Sophie, and I'm so happy to see so many friendly faces. Today, we're raising money to help kids like me so they can have bright futures too. Henry watched from the side, his heart swelling with admiration. Sophie's courage astounded him. She was growing into a remarkable young woman, one he knew would make a lasting impact on the world. As the day unfolded, children played games, painted their faces, and marveled at the art displays showcasing local talent. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and joy. They held a silent auction, and to Henry's delight, many of the items received generous bids. As evening approached, Henry and Sophie gathered for the final event of the day, the raffle drawing. They had received donations from local businesses, creating a treasure trove of prizes that added excitement to the air. Sophie pulled the winning tickets, her face radiant with joy. After the last prize was claimed, Sophie turned to the crowd. Thank you all for coming today. Your support means everything to us. Together, we can change lives. The crowd erupted in applause, and Henry joined in, beaming with pride. He had watched Sophie grow into a leader that day, her compassion radiating throughout the park. They had raised a significant amount of money, more than they had hoped for, and it was just the beginning. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Sophie and Henry packed up their supplies, their hearts filled with fulfillment. "We did it, Dad," she exclaimed, bouncing on her heels. "I can't believe how many people came to help." "Yes, we did. I'm so proud of you," Henry said, ruffling her hair affectionately. "Can we do this again? I want to help more kids." Sophie asked eagerly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Absolutely. This is just the start. We'll plan more events and grow our foundation together," he replied, feeling a sense of purpose swell within him. As they walked to their car, Henry reflected on how much had changed since he had first stepped into the orphanage. Sophie had become not just his daughter, but also a source of inspiration. He was determined to nurture her dreams and encourage her to make a difference in the world. Weeks turned into months, and the Bright Futures Foundation continued to grow. Sophie thrived in her role, bringing her creativity and passion to every event. They established regular workshops for art and life skills, giving children a safe space to express themselves and learn. One afternoon, while they were preparing for another community event, Sophie approached Henry with a serious expression. "Dad, I want to meet some kids from our foundation. I want to hear their stories." Henry paused, impressed by her thoughtfulness. "That's a great idea. It will help us understand their needs better. I was thinking we could organize a day at the park where they can come and just be kids," Sophie suggested, her enthusiasm shining through. "I love it. Let's set it up. We can invite local artists to run workshops and have games for everyone," he replied, eager to support her vision. As they planned the event, Henry felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They were creating not just a foundation, but a community. Sophie's heart for helping others brought a light into their lives, one that illuminated their path forward. On the day of the park event, the sun shone brightly, and laughter filled the air. Children ran around, their faces painted and smiles wide, while local artists engaged them in creative activities. Henry watched as Sophie moved among the kids, her laughter infectious, her spirit radiant. At that moment, he realized how far they had come. They had turned pain into purpose, loss into love. Together, they were building a legacy of kindness, compassion, and hope. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Henry knew they were just getting started. Their journey together had only begun, and the future was bright. The success of the Bright Futures Foundation brought a newfound energy to both Henry and Sophie. With each event, they attracted more volunteers, sponsors, and supporters from the community. As they grew, they encountered both triumphs and challenges that tested their resolve and deepened their bond. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned vibrant shades of orange and red, Sophie approached Henry with a thoughtful look. "Dad, I've been thinking, what if we expand our foundation? We could reach more kids if we had a proper space to run our programs." Henry considered her suggestion. "You mean a community center? That's a big dream, Sophie." Yeah, a place where kids can come for tutoring, art, and even meals. A safe haven. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. We can host events there too. It could be like a second home for them. The idea ignited something within Henry. He had seen firsthand the difference their foundation had made in the lives of children, and a dedicated space would amplify their impact. I love that idea, but we'll need to think about funding and a location. Sophie nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe we can partner with local businesses. They could sponsor the center in exchange for advertising. We can also apply for grants. Determined to bring her vision to life, they began to map out a plan. They spent the next few weeks reaching out to local businesses, presenting their ideas with passion and conviction. Some were excited to help, but others hesitated, unsure of the foundation's long-term viability. One evening, after a particularly challenging meeting where several potential sponsors had declined, Sophie felt disheartened. What if we can't make this happen, Dad? What if no one believes in us? Henry wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. It's okay to feel discouraged. Every great dream faces obstacles. Remember why we started this in the first place. It's about the children and making a difference. But it feels so big, and I'm just one kid, she replied, her voice wavering. You're not just one kid. You're a leader, Sophie. You have the ability to inspire others, and I believe in you. Together, we'll find a way. With renewed determination, they pushed forward. They organized another fundraising event, this time a gala dinner. Henry used his connections to secure a beautiful venue, and they enlisted local chefs to donate their time and resources to create a memorable evening. As the gala day approached, they were met with both excitement and nerves. The night of the event, the venue was adorned with twinkling lights and elegant decorations. Henry and Sophie greeted guests, their hearts racing with anticipation. Sophie took the stage that evening, her voice steady despite the nerves bubbling inside her. Thank you all for coming tonight. This foundation means so much to me, and I want to share why we're here. Henry watched with pride as she spoke about their mission, sharing stories of children they had helped and the vision of building a community center. The crowd listened intently, captivated by her passion. As the night progressed, they held a silent auction filled with generous donations from local businesses. Sophie's eyes lit up when she saw the bids rolling in, and the atmosphere was charged with excitement. Henry felt a wave of hope wash over him as he saw the community rally behind their cause. But as the evening wore on, a few minor hiccups began to unfold. The audio equipment malfunctioned, causing interruptions in Sophie's presentation, and one of the chefs had an unexpected delay with their catering. Henry rushed to resolve the issues, but a wave of stress washed over him. Sophie noticed his worry and took a deep breath, stepping in front of the crowd. Thank you all for your patience. We're just getting started, and I promise it'll be worth it. Her smile radiated confidence, drawing the audience back in. Henry felt a swell of admiration for her resilience. She's right, he added, joining her on stage. We appreciate your support and understanding. Let's make tonight unforgettable. As the night went on, they successfully navigated the hiccups, and the crowd responded with generosity. When the final numbers came in, they had raised more funds than ever before, enough to make the community center a reality. After the gala, Henry and Sophie celebrated in the comfort of their home, exhausted but exhilarated. We did it, Dad! We raised enough money! Sophie exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. Yes, we did, and you were incredible out there, he praised, pulling her into a hug. You turned a challenging evening into a triumphant one. Over the following months, they worked tirelessly to secure a location for the community center. They found a modest building on the outskirts of town that had once been a school. It needed renovations, but it had potential. With the funds they raised, they were able to begin the transformation into a vibrant space for children. As they worked with contractors and designers, Sophie became increasingly involved in the process. She painted murals that would decorate the walls, envisioning a colorful and welcoming environment. Henry admired her dedication. She poured her heart into every detail, excitedly brainstorming ideas for programs and activities. One afternoon, while they were painting one of the murals together, Sophie looked at her father and said, "You know, Dad, I think we're really doing something special. I can't wait to see the kids and faces when they come here." Henry smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "You're the driving force behind this, Sophie. It's your passion and commitment that will change lives." However, as the opening day approached, they encountered unexpected challenges. A local news outlet ran a story questioning the foundation's financial transparency, raising concerns among potential donors and the community. The article sparked discussions about their intentions, and Henry felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Determined to address the concerns head-on, they organized a community meeting. Henry stood before the crowd, his heart pounding. He knew this was a crucial moment for their foundation. "Sophie and I are here to share our vision and commitment to this community," he began, his voice steady despite the anxiety coursing through him. "We understand your concerns, and we want to assure you that every dollar raised goes directly to supporting children in need." Sophie joined him on stage, her expression earnest. "We've already helped so many kids, and we want to do even more. We believe that every child deserves a chance at a bright future." The room was silent, tension palpable. Henry felt Sophie's hand squeeze his, a silent reassurance. As they continued to speak, sharing stories of the children they had helped and their plans for the future, he noticed the crowd's expressions softening. After the meeting, a sense of relief washed over them as people began to approach, offering their support. "We believe in you," one community member said, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for everything you're doing." With renewed faith from the community, the opening of the Bright Futures Community Center was set for a few weeks later. The anticipation was palpable, and as they completed the final touches on the center, Henry and Sophie stood together, gazing at the transformed space. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Sophie asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Yes, it is," Henry replied, a sense of hope swelling within him. "Together, we're going to change lives." As they opened the doors to the center, children rushed in, laughter and joy filling the air. The colorful murals danced across the walls, and the warmth of community embraced them. In that moment, Henry knew they had created something truly special, a haven of love and support for those who needed it most. As the new year rolled in, the Bright Futures Community Center continued to thrive. The success of the holiday celebration had brought a renewed energy, and children filled the center daily, engaged in various programs that fostered both creativity and learning. However, amidst this success, Sophie began to notice a worrying trend. Some kids were attending less frequently. One afternoon, as Sophie helped organize art supplies in the vibrant art room, she spotted Henry entering with a thoughtful expression. "Dad," she called out, setting down a box of paintbrushes. "I've been noticing that some kids aren't coming as often. Do you think we're losing their interest?" Henry approached, a frown creasing his brow. "It's possible. With winter activities and the holidays, families might be busy, but let's reach out to the parents and see what's going on." Determined to understand the situation better, they devised a survey to gather feedback from the families. They asked about their children's interests, program preferences, and any barriers to attendance. Once the surveys were distributed, they anxiously awaited the responses. The feedback revealed a mix of appreciation and concern. While many families expressed gratitude for the center's offerings, some mentioned challenges such as transportation and scheduling conflicts that hindered regular attendance. After reviewing the responses, Sophie sighed, her worry evident. "We need to find a way to make it easier for families to participate. Maybe we could offer rides or hold programs at different times?" "That's a great idea, Sophie. Let's brainstorm some solutions," Henry replied, inspired by her proactive attitude. They quickly organized a plan to introduce a transportation service for families who needed assistance getting to the center. They also adjusted the schedule for after-school programs, offering sessions on weekends and during school breaks to accommodate different family needs. As they implemented these changes, Sophie felt a renewed sense of hope. The center began to see an uptick in attendance as families appreciated the adjustments. Children returned, eager to engage with their peers and participate in the programs that had once brought them joy. However, just as the situation began to stabilize, another challenge emerged. One evening, Henry received an unexpected phone call from a representative of the local government. "Mr. Campbell, we need to discuss some concerns about your facility's compliance with safety regulations," the representative said, her tone serious. Henry felt a knot form in his stomach. What kind of concerns? The representative explained that an inspection revealed several code violations regarding the building's safety standards. "While we appreciate the work you're doing, we need to ensure that the facility meets all regulations to keep the children safe." Overwhelmed, Henry replied, "What do we need to do to fix these issues?" She provided a list of necessary improvements, including installing new fire exits, updating electrical systems, and conducting routine maintenance checks. "I can provide you with resources and recommendations for contractors who can assist with these repairs," she added. After the call, Henry gathered Sophie in his office, his expression grave. "We have a situation. The center needs safety updates to comply with regulations, and it's a significant expense." Sophie's brow furrowed with concern. "What can we do, Dad? We don't have enough funds for this kind of repair. We'll need to reach out to our community for support. Maybe we can organize a fundraiser or apply for grants to cover these costs," Henry suggested. Determined to protect their center, they organized a community meeting to address the concerns openly. Henry stood before the gathered families, taking a deep breath. "Thank you all for coming tonight. We're here to discuss the safety updates needed for the center and how we can work together to resolve these issues." Sophie joined him at the podium, her voice steady. "We love this community, and we want to continue supporting each and every one of you. Your safety and your children's well-being are our top priorities." As the discussion unfolded, community members voiced their concerns and ideas. One parent suggested a fundraising event, while another offered to reach out to local businesses for sponsorships. The atmosphere shifted from apprehension to determination as they formulated a plan. Henry felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. With the community rallying behind them, they organized a series of fundraising events, car washes, bake sales, and a community dinner. The response was overwhelming. Families showed up eager to contribute and help protect the center. As spring approached, the fundraising efforts paid off. The community's generosity allowed them to hire contractors to complete the necessary repairs, and the atmosphere at the center became one of unity and resilience. On the day of the final inspection, Henry and Sophie held their breath as the inspector arrived. "I'm here to check on the repairs made to the facility," she said, looking over the checklist. After a thorough examination, she nodded, a smile breaking across her face. "Everything looks great. You're fully compliant now." Sophie jumped up and down, unable to contain her excitement. "We did it, Dad! The center is safe for everyone." Henry enveloped her in a tight hug, feeling the weight of worry lift off his shoulders. "Yes, we did, and we couldn't have done it without the support of our community." As they celebrated their victory, they reflected on how far they had come. Each challenge they faced only strengthened their resolve, and the support from the community reaffirmed the importance of their mission. They had created a sanctuary where children thrived, friendships blossomed, and dreams were nurtured. With the center's safety concerns resolved, Sophie felt a renewed sense of purpose. She spent more time with the children, guiding them in their art projects and encouraging them to express themselves. Henry marveled at how Sophie had transformed into a leader, someone who could inspire others with her passion. The Bright Futures Community Center had become more than just a place for programs. It was a family, a community woven together by shared experiences and support. As the seasons changed, Henry and Sophie knew they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, hand in hand, ready to face the future. As the months passed, the Bright Futures Community Center continued to flourish, its walls echoing with laughter and learning. The mentorship program had gained traction, successfully pairing older students with younger ones. Sophie's leadership and enthusiasm made a tangible difference, and she took great joy in seeing the children thrive under the guidance of their mentors. One bright morning, as spring blossoms filled the air with fragrant scents, Sophie approached Henry with a new idea. "Dad, I've been thinking, what if we invite teachers from local schools to see what we're doing here? They could partner with us for tutoring or other activities." Henry's face lit up with excitement. "That's a fantastic idea. Building bridges with local educators could help us enhance our programs and reach even more children. Sophie immediately began organizing an open house event where they could showcase the center's initiatives to local educators. She created informative brochures and prepared a presentation to highlight the impact they were making in the community. On the day of the open house, Sophie's heart raced with nerves and anticipation. She greeted teachers as they arrived, her smile wide and welcoming. "Thank you for coming. We're excited to show you around," she said, leading them through the bustling center. Henry watched from the side, feeling a swell of pride. He had seen Sophie grow into a confident young leader, her passion radiating through every interaction. As they moved through the art room, Sophie pointed out various projects and explained their significance. "This mural was painted by the kids during our art workshops," she explained, beaming with pride. "It represents their dreams and aspirations." The teachers nodded, impressed by the creativity and enthusiasm of the children. One teacher, Miss Lopez, stepped forward. "This is beautiful. I can see how engaged the kids are. It's inspiring to witness such a supportive environment." After the tour, they gathered in the main hall for a presentation. Henry took a deep breath, his heart racing. "Thank you all for being here today. We've created this center to provide support and opportunities for children in our community, and we believe collaboration with local schools is essential to our success." As he shared their vision, he noticed the educators nodding in agreement. "We're eager to partner with you, whether through tutoring, mentorship, or joint events. Together, we can make a bigger impact." The discussion flowed seamlessly, and soon the teachers began to share their thoughts. Miss Lopez raised her hand, her voice warm and inviting. "I love the idea of collaboration. Our students would greatly benefit from what you're doing here, and I think we could organize joint events to encourage family involvement." Excitement filled the room as ideas began to bounce around. They discussed ways to integrate arts and academics, creating programs that would benefit both the center and the schools. Henry felt a renewed sense of hope as they explored how to better serve the children. Over the next few weeks, they worked together to implement new initiatives. They started after-school tutoring programs at the center, inviting teachers to volunteer and mentor the children. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many educators eager to get involved. However, as they celebrated their successes, another challenge arose. One evening, Henry received a call from a concerned parent who voiced frustrations about the center's focus. "Mr. Campbell," the parent said, "my child is falling behind in math. I don't see how your programs are helping." Henry felt a knot form in his stomach. "I appreciate your feedback. We want to make sure every child benefits from the programs we offer. I'll make sure to address your concerns directly." That evening, he shared the feedback with Sophie. "We've received some concerns about our programs, specifically regarding the academic support." Sophie frowned, her determination evident. "But we're doing our best to balance everything. Maybe we can host a parent meeting to discuss their concerns and share our vision." "That's a great idea," Henry agreed. "We need to communicate openly with the community and show them how committed we are to helping every child succeed." They organized a parent meeting for the following week, creating a space for open dialogue. As families arrived, Henry felt a mix of apprehension and hope. They needed to bridge the gap between their vision and the community's expectations. Sophie spoke first, her voice steady. "Thank you for coming. We want to hear your thoughts and concerns, so we can work together to make the Bright Futures Community Center the best it can be for our kids." As the discussion unfolded, parents expressed their worries, but also shared their appreciation for the center. They voiced the importance of balancing academic focus with creative programs. Henry listened intently, jotting down their suggestions. "We believe that with some adjustments, we could really make this place thrive. Perhaps you could hire a tutor for math and science classes?" one parent suggested. "That's a great idea," Henry responded enthusiastically. "We can definitely look into hiring additional staff to enhance our programs." As the meeting concluded, many parents expressed gratitude for the open dialogue. They appreciated the transparency and willingness to collaborate. Henry felt a sense of relief wash over him. They were building bridges, fostering understanding and cooperation. In the following weeks, they recruited local high school students to volunteer as tutors, ensuring a strong academic support system for the younger kids. The center's programs expanded, blending arts with academics seamlessly. As summer approached, Sophie suggested hosting a family day at the center, inviting families to celebrate the progress they had made. Henry loved the idea, recognizing it as an opportunity to strengthen community ties further. On the day of the event, the center was filled with vibrant energy. Families gathered for games, food, and activities designed to foster connections. Sophie moved around, engaging children and parents alike, her enthusiasm infectious. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Sophie stood before the crowd, her heart full. Thank you all for being part of the Bright Futures Community Center. Together, we've created something amazing, and I can't wait to see what we accomplish next. The applause that erupted was not just for Sophie, but for the entire community that had come together to support the center. Henry felt a wave of emotion wash over him as he witnessed the joy and unity surrounding them. Through challenges and triumphs, they had built a community woven together by shared experiences, love, and understanding. The Bright Futures Community Center had become a home for many, a place where dreams could flourish and futures could be bright. As the evening wrapped up, Henry and Sophie shared a quiet moment together, their hearts full of gratitude. They had faced obstacles, yet their bond had only strengthened. And together, they were ready to continue building a brighter future for all the children who entered their doors. With the arrival of spring, the Bright Futures Community Center buzzed with energy. The mentorship program was in full swing, with older students guiding younger children through homework and activities, fostering friendships and academic growth. Sophie's leadership had blossomed, and Henry couldn't have been prouder of the impact she was making. One bright morning, as Sophie prepared for a day filled with workshops, she noticed a growing enthusiasm among the kids. They were more engaged than ever, but beneath that surface excitement, she sensed something was amiss. A few children had begun to talk less about their experiences at the center, and some had even stopped coming altogether. "Dad," Sophie said one afternoon as they organized supplies, "I've noticed some kids are missing from our programs lately. I'm worried they might be losing interest." Henry looked up from the table, concern etched on his face. "You're right. Let's reach out to their parents and see if we can find out what's going on. It's important we understand their needs." They quickly devised a survey to distribute to families, asking for feedback about the center's programs and any barriers that might prevent attendance. The responses came in over the next few days, revealing mixed emotions. While many families praised the center for its impact, others voiced concerns about scheduling conflicts and the need for more academic support. Sophie's heart sank as she reviewed the feedback. "We need to do something to make it easier for families to participate. Maybe we can offer transportation or adjust our schedule." "That's a great idea," Henry replied, feeling a spark of hope. "Let's brainstorm some practical solutions." Together, they worked to establish a transportation program for families who needed help getting to the center. They also adjusted the timing of their after-school programs, offering sessions on weekends and during school breaks to accommodate different family needs. As they implemented these changes, Sophie felt a renewed sense of purpose. Slowly, children began returning to the center, and the vibrant energy of creativity and learning filled the air once more. However, just as they settled into this new routine, an unexpected challenge arose. One evening, Henry received an alarming phone call from a local government representative. "Mr. Campbell, we need to discuss some compliance concerns regarding your facility's safety regulations," she stated, her tone serious. Henry's stomach churned. "What kind of concerns?" The representative explained that recent inspections had revealed multiple code violations, including inadequate fire exits and outdated electrical systems. "While we appreciate the work you're doing, we must ensure the facility meets all safety regulations to protect the children." Feeling overwhelmed, Henry asked, "What do we need to do to rectify these issues?" The representative provided a detailed list of necessary repairs, outlining the steps they would need to take to ensure compliance. "I can recommend contractors who specialize in this type of work, but you'll need to act quickly," she added before hanging up. Panic gripped Henry as he turned to Sophie, his expression grave. "We have a serious situation. The center needs urgent repairs to comply with safety regulations, and this is going to be a significant expense." Sophie's eyes widened with worry. "What can we do, Dad? We don't have the funds for repairs like this." "We'll need to reach out to our community for support," Henry said, determination creeping into his voice. "Maybe we can organize a fundraiser or apply for grants to cover these costs." The next day, they organized a community meeting to address the concerns openly. As families gathered in the center, Henry stood before them, his heart racing. "Thank you for coming. We're here to discuss safety updates needed for the center and how we can work together to resolve these issues." Sophie joined him at the podium, her voice steady. "This center means so much to all of us, and we want to ensure it remains a safe and supportive space for our children." As the meeting progressed, community members shared their concerns and offered support. "We believe in what you're doing here," one parent stated. "We can organize a fundraising event to help with the repairs." With renewed energy, the crowd began brainstorming ideas. They discussed car washes, bake sales, and community dinners, all aimed at raising the necessary funds. The atmosphere shifted from fear to determination, with everyone rallying together to protect the center they cherished. Henry felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. With the community's support, they quickly organized a series of fundraising events. Sophie threw herself into the planning, determined to make every event a success. She reached out to local businesses for donations, creating a sense of camaraderie as the community rallied behind their cause. As spring blossomed into summer, the fundraising efforts paid off. Families from the community came together, and the events were met with overwhelming enthusiasm. Laughter and joy filled the air as children helped organize car washes and bake sales, eager to contribute to the center's future. On the day of the final inspection after the repairs were completed, Henry and Sophie waited anxiously for the inspector to arrive. "I hope everything is up to code," Henry said, glancing at Sophie, who was nervously fidgeting with her bracelet. Finally, the inspector arrived and began her assessment. As she moved through the center, checking fire exits and electrical systems, Henry held his breath. After what felt like an eternity, she looked up, a smile breaking across her face. "Everything looks great. You're fully compliant now." Sophie erupted with joy, jumping up and down. "We did it, Dad. The center is safe for everyone." Henry pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. "Yes, we did it, and we couldn't have done it without the support of our community." As they celebrated their victory, they reflected on how far they had come. Each challenge they faced had only strengthened their resolve, and the support from the community reaffirmed the importance of their mission. They had created a sanctuary where children thrived, friendships blossomed, and dreams were nurtured. With the center's safety concerns resolved, Sophie felt a renewed sense of purpose. She spent more time with the children, guiding them in their art projects and encouraging them to express themselves. Henry marveled at how Sophie had transformed into a leader, someone who could inspire others with her passion. As summer approached, they planned a family day at the center, inviting everyone to celebrate their successes. The event was filled with games, food, and activities designed to foster connections. Sophie moved around, engaging children and parents alike, her enthusiasm infectious. As the sun set on the festivities, Henry and Sophie shared a quiet moment together, their hearts full of gratitude. They had faced obstacles, yet their bond had only strengthened, and together they were ready to continue building a brighter future for all the children who entered their doors. The new year brought fresh energy and opportunities to the Bright Futures Community Center. With the holiday celebration a resounding success, Henry and Sophie turned their focus toward expanding their programs even further. They were determined to not only maintain their momentum, but also explore new avenues for supporting the community. One chilly January morning, as snowflakes danced outside the windows, Sophie burst into Henry's office, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Dad, I have an idea. What if we start a mentorship program connecting older students with younger kids? They could help with homework, and the younger ones could learn from them." Henry's heart swelled with pride at Sophie's initiative. "That's a fantastic idea. Peer mentorship can be incredibly effective. It fosters relationships and builds confidence in both the mentors and the mentees. Sophie nodded enthusiastically. We could hold an information session for the older students at the high school. I can present it and explain how they can make a difference. As they began planning, Sophie's passion was contagious. They reached out to the local high school, where they arranged a presentation to introduce the mentorship program. Sophie prepared diligently, creating slides that outlined the program's benefits, expectations, and the positive impact it could have on the community. On the day of the presentation, Henry accompanied Sophie to the high school, proud to see her taking on this new challenge. As they entered the auditorium, a wave of nerves washed over her. "What if they don't want to participate?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just remember why you're doing this, Sophie. You have the chance to inspire them. You're a leader, and you're making a difference," Henry reassured her, placing a hand on her shoulder. When it was time for Sophie to present, she stepped up to the microphone, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie Campbell, and I'm here to share an exciting opportunity for you to make a difference in our community." As she spoke about the mentorship program, her confidence grew. She shared stories of the younger children at the center, emphasizing the need for positive role models and the benefits of building relationships through mentorship. The room filled with nods of understanding, and Henry could see the engagement in the students' faces. After her presentation, several students approached her, expressing their interest. "This sounds really cool. I'd love to help out," one student said, his enthusiasm evident. Sophie's smile widened as she exchanged contact information with the interested students. By the end of the session, she had recruited a group of eager mentors ready to join the program. Back at the center, they began organizing the mentorship program, pairing high school students with younger children based on shared interests and needs. The launch day was filled with excitement as mentors and mentees met for the first time, building connections and setting goals for their time together. Henry watched with pride as Sophie facilitated the introductions, her warm energy bringing everyone together. The mentorship program quickly blossomed, fostering friendships and helping children improve academically and socially. As the weeks went by, the center became a hub of activity. The mentors spent afternoons helping the younger kids with homework, while also sharing their experiences and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. Sophie often joined the groups, facilitating discussions and creating a supportive environment. However, as they celebrated these successes, another challenge emerged. One evening, Henry received an unexpected visit from a representative from the local government. "Mr. Campbell, we need to discuss some concerns about your facility's compliance with safety regulations," the representative stated, a serious tone in her voice. Henry felt a knot form in his stomach. "What kind of concerns?" he asked, trying to remain calm. The representative explained that an inspection had revealed some code violations regarding the building's safety standards. "While we appreciate the work you're doing, we need to ensure that the facility meets all regulations to keep the children safe." Henry felt overwhelmed. "We've been working so hard to create a safe environment. What do we need to do to fix these issues?" The representative provided a list of necessary improvements, including installing new fire exits, updating the electrical systems, and conducting routine maintenance checks. "I can provide you with resources and recommendations for contractors who can assist with these repairs." After the representative left, Henry called Sophie into his office. "We have a situation. The center needs some safety updates to comply with regulations. It's a significant expense, and we need to act quickly." Sophie's expression turned serious as she processed the news. "What can we do, Dad? We don't have enough funds for this kind of repair." "We'll need to reach out to our community for support. Maybe we can organize a fundraiser or a grant application to cover these costs," Henry suggested, feeling the weight of the situation. Sophie nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "We can't let anything happen to our center. It's our home for these kids." They wasted no time organizing a community meeting to address the concerns and brainstorm solutions. As they gathered community members together, Henry laid out the situation, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a safe space for the children. We need your help to ensure that the Bright Futures Community Center remains a haven for our kids. We have the opportunity to raise funds for necessary repairs and continue our mission," he explained. Sophie stood beside him, her voice steady. "Together, we can make this happen. We've built a community here, and now we need to rally together to protect it." Inspired by their passion, community members jumped in with ideas. They discussed potential fundraising events, partnerships with local businesses, and grant applications they could pursue. The energy in the room shifted from concern to determination as they formulated a plan. Over the next few weeks, they organized a series of fundraising events, car washes, bake sales, and community dinners. The outpouring of support from the community was incredible. Families showed up in droves, eager to contribute and help protect the center. As the funds began to accumulate, Henry and Sophie felt a renewed sense of hope. They secured a contractor to handle the necessary repairs, and the community rallied behind them, volunteering their time and resources to ensure the work was completed quickly and efficiently. On the day of the final inspection, Henry and Sophie held their breath as the inspector arrived. "I'm here to check on the repairs made to the facility," the inspector said, looking over the checklist. After a thorough examination, she nodded, a smile breaking across her face. "Everything looks great. You're fully compliant now." Sophie jumped up and down, unable to contain her excitement. "We did it, Dad! The center is safe for everyone." Henry enveloped her in a tight hug, feeling the weight of worry lift off his shoulders. "Yes, we did it together. Your hard work and dedication made this possible." As they celebrated their victory, they reflected on how far they had come. The challenges they faced only strengthened their resolve, and the support from the community reaffirmed the importance of their mission. They had created a sanctuary, and together, they would continue to build a brighter future for every child who walked through the doors of the Bright Futures Community Center. With the center's safety concerns resolved, the momentum at the Bright Futures Community Center continued to build. The mentorship program thrived, and Sophie's leadership shone brightly as she fostered connections between older students and younger children. The success of the fundraising events had strengthened the community's commitment to the center, creating an atmosphere filled with optimism and hope. As spring approached, Henry and Sophie began planning their next big initiative, a community outreach program focused on environmental stewardship. Inspired by the blossoming flowers and warming weather, Sophie proposed a project that would engage children in learning about nature, sustainability, and the importance of caring for their environment. "Dad, what if we organize a green day at the center? We could plant a garden, teach the kids about recycling, and even have a nature walk," Sophie suggested, her eyes alight with excitement. Henry smiled at her enthusiasm. "That sounds like a wonderful idea, Sophie. We can invite local environmentalists to help us out and provide educational workshops." They quickly got to work organizing the event, reaching out to local organizations that could lend their expertise. They also invited families to join in, encouraging everyone to contribute to a collective effort toward a greener community. As the day of the event approached, anticipation filled the air. Families arrived with gardening tools, seeds, and smiles, eager to participate in the festivities. Sophie had set up different stations around the center, each dedicated to a specific aspect of environmental education. Henry watched as Sophie led a group of children in planting seedlings, her laughter ringing through the garden. "Remember, every plant we put in the ground today will help our planet," she exclaimed, her hands dirty from digging in the soil. In another area, local environmentalists taught children about recycling and composting. They demonstrated how to sort items properly and explained the benefits of reducing waste. The kids listened intently, asking questions and showing a genuine interest in making a difference. As the day unfolded, Henry felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what he had envisioned, a community coming together to inspire the next generation, instilling values of responsibility and stewardship. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink, Sophie gathered everyone for a closing circle. "Thank you all for being here today. We've planted seeds for our garden and for our future. Together, we can make a difference." The crowd erupted in applause, the energy palpable. Henry felt his heart swell with pride as he watched Sophie's confidence flourish. She had become a true leader, someone who could rally the community around a shared purpose. However, as they began to pack up, Henry received a call that would change everything. It was a representative from a national nonprofit organization that had taken an interest in their work. "Mr. Campbell, we've been following the success of the Bright Futures Community Center, and we'd like to discuss a potential partnership. We believe your mission aligns closely with our goals." Henry could hardly believe what he was hearing. "That sounds incredible. What kind of partnership are you envisioning?" "We'd like to provide additional funding and resources to help expand your programs. We see great potential in what you're doing, and we want to support your vision for the future." After hanging up, Henry felt a mix of disbelief and excitement. He called Sophie into his office, his heart racing. "Sophie, you're not going to believe this. We might be getting a partnership with a national nonprofit organization." Her eyes widened in shock. "Really? That's amazing. What does it mean for us?" "It means we'll have access to more funding and resources to help us expand our programs even further. We could enhance our academic support, increase outreach, and even develop new initiatives," Henry explained, unable to hide his enthusiasm. Sophie jumped up and down, her excitement contagious. "This is going to change everything. We can help so many more kids." They worked closely with the nonprofit representatives to develop a proposal outlining their vision for the future. The partnership brought a wave of new possibilities, and Henry and Sophie brainstormed innovative programs that could enrich the community's experience at the center. With the new funding, they launched additional academic support programs, art classes, and wellness initiatives, all designed to cater to the diverse needs of the children. Sophie's mentorship program expanded, allowing more high school students to engage and guide younger kids. As spring blossomed into summer, the center thrived. Children flourished under the new initiatives, gaining confidence and skills that would serve them well in the future. Henry watched with pride as Sophie continued to lead with passion and dedication. One evening, as they cleaned up after a busy day, Henry turned to Sophie. "I want you to know how proud I am of you. You've grown into such a remarkable leader. The impact you're making on these kids is incredible." Sophie smiled, her cheeks flushing with gratitude. "Thank you, Dad. I couldn't have done any of this without your support. You believed in me from the start." Their bond had deepened, forged through the challenges they had faced and the triumphs they had celebrated. Together, they had built a community that thrived on love, support, and hope. As summer approached, they organized a family day at the center, inviting everyone to celebrate their successes. The event was filled with games, food, and activities for children of all ages. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter, joy, and a sense of togetherness. At the end of the day, Sophie stood before the crowd, her heart full. "Thank you all for being part of the Bright Futures Community Center. Together, we've created something amazing, and I can't wait to see what we accomplish next." As applause erupted around her, Henry felt a wave of emotion wash over him. They had faced challenges, but through it all, they had built a legacy that would continue to impact lives for generations to come. In that moment, looking around at the smiling faces of the children, parents, and community members, Henry realized that their journey was far from over. They had created a foundation rooted in love, resilience, and compassion, a bright future for all who walk through the doors of the center. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Henry and Sophie shared a quiet moment together, their hearts full of hope and dreams for what lay ahead. They were not just a father and daughter, they were a team, ready to face whatever challenges the future held, hand in hand.